Hi, I'm glad you stopped by. The question today is abortion murder. God says it is, and He calls it shedding innocent blood. Now, to be crystal clear, we're not talking about we are talking here about casual abortion or abortion for convenience. We are not talking about any kind of medical necessity. Now, for the women, nothing about this is casual. It is a horrible experience, scarring, haunting their footsteps, sometimes for the rest of their lives. For the record, it's not about opinions, not for Christians. It's not. It's only about what God says. We are created beings. God gives us instructions to save us. He so loved every one of us that He gave His only Son to die, so we don't have to die the eternal death. We only go to sleep when we die. That language is used by God to help us understand death from His perspective. Because when He calls us, we wake up and stand up in perfect health because we were asleep. In Exodus 20 and verse 13, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." And I think that's pretty plain. Let's look at how God views what is in the womb. In the first reference, God is calling them children, and we're talking here about references in the Bible. This is Genesis 25, 21, and 22. Speaking of Rebekah, and the children struggled together within her. Very interesting thing, but very important information here. The same is true for the second reference. In the third, God is calling the unborn sons. In Hosea, God is calling the unborn a brother. And in the first chapter of Luke, we have 3 references to the unborn, once being called a son and twice being called babe. So it is true, these are the references, and but it is true that God recognizes a person, a human, a living soul, as soon as conception takes place. Look at Luke here. Elizabeth, she also conceived a son in her old age. Very, very interesting. Now, what could be more innocent than a baby? I tell you, you think about this. The innocent and the righteous slay thou not. This business about innocent blood is very much about death or murdering somebody. In this case, babies. And we have several references here. And we're not going to read each one, but this one is not really about a baby. It's about an innocent person, but certainly it falls within the category of a child. Think about your own child whom you love, right? And here we have sin. Thou sin against innocent blood to slay David without a cause. Remember, this was Saul wanted to slay David, and those stood up just like, it's not going to happen. And Manasseh shed innocent blood very much till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another. And here we have also Manasseh mentioned. For the innocent blood that he shed, for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood. And what does it say? Which the Lord would not pardon. We're going to get a little more in detail on this here in just a minute, but I have each one of these verses numbered. There are 21 times in the Bible that talks about death and innocent blood. Look at this Psalms 106 right here. And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. You can read about the idol Moloch. It is said that Moloch was sitting as an idol. He was made out of brass, and he was sitting with his elbows at his side and his forearms open and close together so that they could build a big fire in his lap, get his arms red hot, and lay a child, a baby, into those arms. It's amazing to me that God put up with that for 2 seconds. But vengeance is mine. Verse 38, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters. Now, if there's any question in your mind about what or who innocent blood is talking about, it says right here in plain English, the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, and so much that he abhorred his own inheritance. This is pretty amazing. God says, it is an abomination unto him, hands that shed innocent blood. This will be in a PDF, all of this that we're looking at right here. And if you would like a copy of this, feel free to drop me an email and we'll get it to you. But this is very important. Jeremiah 26, but know ye for certain that if ye put me to death, you shall surely bring innocent blood upon yourselves and upon this city and upon the inhabitants thereof. And this is a principle. It's a principle of what happens if you are if you're an inhabitant of this city. You are guilty of innocent blood according to this principle. Now, we're going to revisit that in a minute. Joel 3, for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. You might not know what's going on, but here's Judas, right? Betrayed Christ, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. God's only Son. All right. Next, we have a few references from the original Authentic Spirit of Prophecy proving that we were all created in the image of God. Very important to understand these things. These are not the only references. They're just some that I selected out rather quickly. But here we have a man, and you were created in the image of God and after his likeness. Man was created for a higher, holier state of enjoyment than this world can afford. He was made in the image of God. And here we have another. Speaking of parents and their responsibilities to their children. And what a scene will then be presented, that thousands of children who have been slaves to appetite and debasing vice, whose lives are moral wrecks, will stand face to face with the parents who made them what they are. Who but the parents must bear this fearful responsibility? Did the Lord make these youth corrupt? Oh no. He made them in his image a little lower than the angels. Who then has done the fearful work of forming the life character? Who changed their characters so that they do not bear the impress of God and must be forever separated from his presence, as too impure to have any place with the pure angels in a holy heaven? Then it goes on to speak about the sins of the parents transmitted to the children. This thing is huge. If you believe abortion is not murder, you need to change your beliefs and get in harmony with what God says and not what man says. Now we're going to talk about this channel right here. It's the name of the channel, Pro-Life Andrew. I highly recommend that if you don't know anything much about abortion, I did not. I'm a carpenter, and I recommend that you go and take a look at these videos. Now, this is his link to his channel up here, the first one. And this is the second one where he is speaking about Walter Veith and his silence on abortion in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And so that's what this link is about. And then we have another link here, and by the way, these links will be in the description under the video. But in this link, we have a Dr. Edward Allred. He has bragged about doing 250,000 abortions. And because he uses his money to give to the church, he is considered an ambassador and an inspiration for young adults. This is a horrible position, but this man is, you need to watch the video, and I will let you make your own decisions on that. But this is pretty incredible, the information here. Just within these two videos here, Walter Veith and Allred. Now, I do not agree with everything that Pro-Life Andrew says. He's got a 45 or 50 second video here. Best advice to poor people: return a faithful tithe to the Adventist Church. We're going to talk about that in just a second. I will just get into it right now. it is important to understand that membership means support. Membership means support. And just like we were talking about that innocent blood being on the city, the whole city, and all the inhabitants, if you are keeping membership, here we are, if you are keeping membership in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, you are counted as a supporter, period. That means that innocent blood is on you. You must separate from this wickedness because they are embracing that man and all these abortions. Why? Because there's so much money involved in the, what do they call them? Aborted baby tissue. All kinds of, they're doing all kinds of stuff with those, can't think of the word right now. But anyway, it's the cell culture that they get from the babies, and they are, you need to separate from that church. If you want to stay there and you want to pay tithe, then you need to question what your tithe is going for, and maybe that will wake you up. But you need to separate from that. But I do not agree at all with this. Pro-Life Andrew is a very young, well, I say very young, but he is a young man, especially compared to me, and he needs a little more experience. And very soon, probably, I don't know how soon, but he's going to either get kicked out of the church or paid off or whatever. But right now he is believing the lie that the church is going to go through. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. Now, he has another video, which is this one. And it is where the church right now is promoting the vaccination that is currently being offered to the whole world. And this video hopefully will wake you up a little bit. But it is important to stand alone, just like the three Hebrews, and let it be known that you are not going to desecrate your body by allowing the medical establishment to inject poisons into your body. And this is critically important to understand. We are in the last days, and if you get sick and get something horrible, you need to know. You need to study your Bible. There is a curse pronounced on those who want to trust in the arm of flesh or trusting man to save them. I'm going to die in the normal course of life. I will die. And if Christ does not come first, I will go to my grave, wherever that is. And that's the way it's going to be. And the whole world knows that. We are all dying, going to die one way or another. Become reconciled to that. It is the sentence against us. And Christ is going to save us if we are faithful. So it says here, the saints are admonished to separate from sin and sinners. Even though we strive to reach out to all, we do not come into close relations with the world, lest we suddenly find ourselves over the line on the wrong side. I'll tell you something, there's a lot of people, I love people, and there are a lot of people who are in the world I wished I could save. I wished I could bring them with me, but I don't read the heart the way God does. And if they are not interested in being saved, then I need to separate myself and hold them out at arm's length. I'm still trying to reach them, still trying to talk to them. I tried to talk to my neighbor. Say, no, he says, I have my religion. I pray. It's like, okay, you just got to go on. It's like the rich young ruler. I think it's Mark or Luke says that he loved him. Christ loved the rich young ruler, but he loved him enough to let him walk away. He didn't run after him saying, wait, let's change the deal here. No, the deal is not changed. There's one way. But the counterfeit spirit of prophecy would have us believe that God is going to cleanse the leadership and take control of the church, and the church is going to be saved at last in heaven. Nowhere can this be proven true. Now, the counterfeit spirit of prophecy says this stuff, but this is not true. Individuals, not a church organization, is who Christ died for. Individuals, not a church, are going to be saved at last in heaven, and the saved will all be called the children of Abraham, and all will be a part of one of the 12 tribes, whichever tribe that is, and none will be called Seventh-day Adventists. We must get our understanding from God's Word. This is our guide. This is our anchor. Our faith holds fast to proven truth, and no storm can move us. We all must be like the 3 Hebrews standing before an offended king and tell him that you will not be sacrificing your body to their vaccines or masks. We must decide now not to yield to social or peer pressure. I want to invite you to take a look, do a little research on social pressure or peer pressure, social engineering. This is what we are being manipulated with: fear, psychological torture. Look back in one of the other videos, and there's a PDF you can request on that. This is Satan's hour. That's where we are. He's poking, prodding, pushing us to go along to get along. I'll tell you what, there is a section in the Church's Testimony, Volume 8, I believe it is, speaking about honoring Sunday, doing missionary work on Sunday after Sunday is made a test, and, holding services on Sunday. Yeah, this is not a good idea, because that will give you the mark of the beast. Those who do this, those who do, will find it an easy thing to accept the mark of the beast when it is made a test. Best you develop your faith now while you still can. Here are some of the things the counterfeit spirit of prophecy says about God taking control of the church so it will be saved at last. Now, I want you to look at the date right here. This is 1888. Why do I point that out? Because it says here that we must clear the king's highway, for God will remove hindrances out of the way. That's interesting. Have you seen any hindrances removed out of the way? This is, let's call this 1890. So this is 130 years ago. 130 years. What hindrances has God moved out of the way? Well, maybe some. Okay. Worldly policy is taking the place of the true piety and wisdom from above, and God will remove his prospering hand from the conference. But let's see the date here. Oh, this is a manuscript release. So we don't have a date on it exactly, but this is interesting. I've never heard of God removing his prospering hand from the conference. Maybe you have. Drop me an email. Here we have another manuscript release. God will take his whole work in hand, every phase of it, and will carry it forward wondrously. If men will not interfere by bringing in their human inventions. Yeah, this is, I haven't seen that happen. The church is kind of prospering, they consider. That's what they're touting. But they're also telling everyone that they are a mainstream Protestant church. Yeah, they are. They're rejecting a lot of the truth that made this, what made this message great. I want to tell you that if after these warnings given in these burnings, the leaders of our people go right on just as they have done in the past, exalting themselves, God will take the bodies next. I take that to mean that God's going to punish them with their bodies, or something to that effect. But here we go. This is the goodie. God is at the head of the work, and he will set everything in order. If matters need adjusting at the head of the work, God will attend to that and work to right every wrong. Let us have faith that, here we go, let us have faith that God is going to carry the noble ship which bears the people of God safely into port. I hope you do not believe that. This is a problem. God corrects his people when they are in danger of being corrupted by those who obey not the truth. So he's talking about people like me. When any are drawing apart from the organized body of God's commandment-keeping people, they begin to weigh the church, and their human scales begin to pronounce judgment against them. But then you may know that God is not leading them. They are on the wrong track. Well, prove me and show your proof. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, I got a link down here that's I'm going to share with you in just a minute. The showing by the past leadership of the conference is not after God's order. How come God didn't remove them? It says there has been a work done of a character that has not been approved of God. Well, we just got done reading that God was going to put everything back on the right track. What happened? Yeah, it didn't happen. The Lord will take out of the way those workers who are not moving forward in his lines. Well, we have a problem here. Watch those videos by Pro-Life Andrew. But here's what it says from the Authentic Spirit of Prophecy, Testimonies number 29. If the most earnest vigilance is not manifested at the great heart of the work to protect the interests of the cause, the church will become as corrupt as those of other denominations. Now, you tell me why it doesn't say here that God is going to step in and take control, because it must be proven who is who. And this is the link right here. All these links and this information, I can't put all the text there, it's too much, but the links will be in the description under the video. And this link, I had one person tell me that he liked everything that I had posted, but putting this link up was from Satan. Well, something must be wrong with the fountain, because the fountain doesn't bring forth sweet water and bitter. So this link, this man is Nicholas from Presence of God, and this is one of his websites. And I don't agree with everything he says, but at this website, sdaapostasy.org, he documents, for instance, something you may not have heard. For instance, the Operation White Coat, where in the beginning of World War II, Seventh-day Adventist Church sacrificed a bunch of their young men because the government knew that Seventh-day Adventists were very healthy, and they used these men as human guinea pigs to experiment on them with all kinds of certain medical experiments. I don't have all the details, but I do know that they were made human guinea pigs and sacrificed by the church. And there are many other things that people do not want you to know. Just like the abortion issue, it's like hidden. But it's important that you get a handle on some surface information, especially if you are still holding membership in that church. You need to separate yourselves from that. It's great wickedness, and if you do not separate yourself, you will be going down with that ship when it is sunk. God bless your study.